Hello everyone, Steve here. This is going to be what I hope is a pretty short video, but I wanted to describe what I've been working on this week. I kind of fell into a rat hole related to Statis Pro. Statis Pro has been around a long time. It's popular among a lot of people, mainly because of the pitcher-batter interaction where various pitchers control the at-bat to varying degrees. I've already recorded a couple of videos related to Statis Pro. What you see here is an example of some pitcher cards that I made with my spreadsheet that I built a couple of years ago. This was a result of a lot of research. You know, it's no better or worse than anything else that's out there. It's probably worse than Statis Pro Advanced, and it may be worse than at least one set of homebrew cards that I know a guy sells. But I've recorded a video in the past about how to get the pitcher cards right, or at least better than what the original formulas would produce. And I suggest you check out that video. I'll try to include a link to that in the description. When I built this spreadsheet, I found a template, a card template, and then I built the front end and kind of patched it together with this card template. And the spreadsheet was very, very hard to use. Of course, I've built a lot of baseball spreadsheets since then, and it's always been on a back burner to me to create or rebuild that whole spreadsheet and make it easier to use and automate things that weren't previously automated. So about a week ago, I sat down and started to do just that. Now, it's not like I didn't have enough projects going already. For baseball, I've got a lot of backlog of some teams to review and get posted on Facebook and so on. But I thought, well, this couldn't be too hard. So yeah, I started out building the spreadsheet and kind of in parallel building a card template. And I guess I built the batter template first. And the way this is set up, you can kind of see here, there's going to be 6 cards on a page. So these cards are going to be bigger than the originals for sure. Probably bigger than most of them you'll find on the market. Definitely taller, for sure. The one thing I decided if I was going to do this, I was going to tackle left-right splits. And so I've done that. And you can see this card design in some respects resembles at least one that's out there on the market. One difference is I actually built a little table at the bottom, which is what makes this tall, for the positions and the error ratings and the games played. And I built it this way mainly so that I didn't have to do any special sorting or copying and pasting or whatever. If you populate the fielding table correctly, this table will automatically populate. So as I said, part of my goal here was to automate things as much as possible. I did go back and revisit some of my rating formulas for the various ratings. I think we're in pretty good shape there. I think I made an improvement. In terms of walks and strikeouts, I decided instead of putting the number of those statistics, I just put the percent, because to me the percent is more meaningful. Now on the pitcher card, there's both the number and the percent. The stats are consolidated stats, they're not split. I guess if I was willing to make the print smaller, I could probably change the stats so that they're the split stats, and I may still do that. That thought just occurred to me, and as I said, this has become a real rabbit hole. You know, I think one thing I will mention, which has become a real challenge, is that even though I know and I'm satisfied with my formulas generally, if you've ever tried to make Statis Pro cards, even with the original instructions, they're kind of interrelated. So the pitcher card is interrelated with the batter card. And at a high level, what you do, let's say for the batter, is you calculate how many of each result should be on the batter card. And in particular for hits, strikeouts, and walks, then you deduct what will be produced by the average pitcher card. But then when you go to create the pitcher card, you deduct what would be on the average batter card. And that sounds pretty logical until you really realize that mathematically those should be very interconnected. And I tried to program it that way and ended up with what Excel calls a circular reference. And I tried to override it by doing it kind of semi-manually, but iteratively. And the spreadsheet went down a rabbit hole. So I'm kind of left with an indecision about what to do. And then, you know, when you do these calculations, you reference the league averages, as I just mentioned. But when you're doing splits, you know, really you should be referencing the league averages for the given matchup. So there's 4 potential matchups: left versus left, right versus right, right versus left, and left versus right. And particularly for left versus left, the statistics are quite different. For the most part, left-handed pitchers can really dominate left-hand batters. So, you know, what's your point of reference? So I'm struggling with all that, and it's possible that this project will die under its own weight, or it's possible that I will decide that good enough is good enough and just go ahead and finish off the spreadsheet. But I really want to get the formulas in a good place before I create a whole bunch of individual tabs for the batters that drive these cards. So that's just kind of a peek into my nerdy life. So that's batters. So pitchers. I did a few things with pitchers. One of the things I did, and I stole this idea, fully admit I stole this idea, is I put a batting card right on the pitcher card. And so here you see Mike Cuellar bats left, and in 1971 he had a batting average of 103. He did hit a home run, but he struck out a lot. So the first 4 pitchers on this page, Cuellar, Dobson, McNally, and Palmer, all have customized pitcher hitting cards. And so here you have Palmer. He hit close to 200, but he didn't have any home runs. And he still struck out a lot. And then for everybody else, I use the aggregate of the pitching statistics. And even though this says Catfish Hunter, Oakland A's, it's really the rest of the Orioles batting. That's Catfish Hunter really didn't bat in 1973. So I did that. I put the pitcher hitting card there, and I gave the option of customizing it to the individual statistics. You do run the risk of small sample sizes there, so you kind of have to use some judgment about whether you use a generic card or not. Again, I did the left-right splits, and for those of you who don't know Statis Pro, they use a base 8 system, which is the equivalent of 2 D8 dice, which means the results go from 11 to 88. Now, one thing that I did just last night, I was reading once again this old article from All-Star Replay. And this was a newsletter. I think this is probably at least 40 years old, if not more. And there was a guy named David Lasser, and he, like many people, realized the original pitching formulas for Statis Pro in the instructions, card making instructions, produced bad cards, and the early pitcher cards for Statis Pro were not accurate because the strong pitchers were too strong and the weak pitchers were too weak. The math is complicated. This guy actually sorted it out, and his formulas, which he goes on for a couple of pages to describe, are used by most people, I would say, these days in computing their cards. And I have a separate video on creating Statis Pro pitcher cards, so I'm not going to belabor it here. But I was reading this yesterday, and I noticed he had a section for a home run adjustment. And I never saw that in any of the classic Statis Pro stuff that I've ever seen. I've never seen it on the classic Statis Pro cards. But this is a topic that's very much appeals to me because I think if you're going to describe a pitcher's performance, you need to do more than getting walks, hits, and strikeouts right. You also need to reflect how prevalent or how frequent they give up home runs. And so I looked at this formula for a little bit, and I said, well, this would be relatively easy to put in my spreadsheet that I already have built. So I did that, and in most cases, the so-called PB rating for the pitcher will take care of getting extra base hits right, including home runs. But occasionally it won't, and that's really what this home run adjustment is for. So in the case of Cuellar, who gave up 30 home runs in 1971, he actually, this card as it's currently constructed, will not give him enough home runs given up. And so the way this code would work is when he's facing a batter, the first single on the card for the batter would actually become a home run. Now, in theory, you could make it the first double, but not every batter has a double like Pat Dobson here. So, you know, you can make it the first double unless there's a single, and then you can make it the first single. Anyways, it's just a way to boost home runs a little bit. And I programmed that up, and I redid the card format here, and it's customized to left-handed batter and right-handed batter. Now, a lot of pitchers don't have anything like here. There's nothing for that home run adjustment because the again, the PB number and the math behind the PB number take care of that automatically. The other thing I've done here on the card, although I have a lot of statistics here, one other thing I've done here on a card is I have 4 codes. So if he's a starting pitcher and never had a relief appearance, you'll have an SP. If he started more than he relieved, you'll get an SR. If you don't really see it here, but if he only was a relief pitcher, he'll get an RP. And if he was relieved more than he started, he'll get RS. And so that's the little code that I developed for the cards. As it relates to this home run adjustment, I put 2 pitchers in here just to show what can happen. Catfish Hunter 1973 led the league in giving up home runs with 39, and especially against left-hand batters, he gave up home runs at a significantly high rate. I think maybe 5% of his plate appearances were home runs given up. If I'm not mistaken, it's around 26 home runs against left-hand batters in about 480 plate appearances, something like that. So just doing the math here, even though he has a 2.5 PB rating, which should already have him giving up a lot of extra base hits, his home run rating would have him give up even more than what would happen just because of this 2.5 PB rating, and then less so on the right-hand batter side. Now you have Greg Maddux, who in 1994 had an amazing season. I mean, his whip was 0.9. Batters batted in the low 200s against him. His ERA was 1.56, and he only gave up 4 home runs. And he didn't walk very many people either. That's a low walk rate, about half of average, or even better. So you would expect him to have a home run minus code in here, but the reason why he doesn't is he already reduces home runs quite significantly with this 2.9 PB rating, which means he's going to control 83% of the at-bats. And when the pitcher controls the at-bat, the only hits that can happen are singles. All the extra base hits happen on the batter card. So I just wanted to illustrate that. So yeah, a lot of work going on there. Again, this might stall out under its own weight, because the other thing that I want to try, if I'm happy with the way things turn out with this new spreadsheet, is I think I'm going to move on from this base 8 system. I'm trying to get this in the screen. Move on from the base 8 system and use 2 D10 dice instead. And that means there would be 100 chances on each of the pitcher and the batter card. And I've just mocked up Greg Maddux here. Do not take this literally, because I think there's just a ton of formulas that need to be adjusted, and I'm not sure I adjusted them all correctly. Just for ability to fit on the card correctly, I've numbered the 100 rolls from 00 to 99. And you can see that happens both on the pitcher side of the card and the pitcher hitting side of the card. And again, don't take these numbers in here too literally. I'm not sure they're right. I think the D10, first of all, D10s are more common than D8s, but I think it gives more precision to the cards. And for some rare events, I think it allows you to just produce a more accurate card, if you will, and it's kind of more natural. So you can kind of look here to see the 7 to 12 is, 6 chances, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 6 chances, and you can kind of just do the math easier than the base 8. The other thing I was going to mention, on the batter cards and the pitcher hitting cards, in my spreadsheet, in this so-called BD rating, or this clutch hitting rating, I make sure every batter has at least 1 each of the double, triple, and home run. Now I compensate a little bit on that by rounding down occasionally some of the double and home runs from the main chart, but I like the idea in my sims that there's at least a rare chance for something to happen. And in this case of using D10 and 100 chances, the chance of this is even more remote than what would have been the case with the D8s. So that's where I am. Again, this may die under its own weight. As I said before, some of this math gets kind of hairy, and unless I'm reasonably satisfied that these cards are going to be directionally accurate, unless I get satisfied with that, I'll just stop what I'm doing. But I thought I would share one of the things I've been working on and give you some insight into the type of rabbit holes that I fall into. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.